Sister Nina, for that beautiful prayer. And we're going to go into our next section, which is Lectio Divina. And basically that translates to divine reading. And so what we do is we listen to the verse, and then we allow God to talk to our heart and let us know what, he is trying to say to us. And so not necessarily what the verse means, but more of what he's trying to tell each and one of us individually. So tonight's verse, it's Romans chapter 8, 29 through 31. Again, if you want to write it so you can have it at hand, it's Romans 8, 29 through 31. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. So, Lord, speak that your servant is listening. For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. And those whom he predestined, he also called. And those whom he called, he also justified. And those whom he justified, he also glorified. What then shall we say to this? If God is for us, who is against us? Word of the Lord, thanks be to God. And I'll go ahead and read it one more time. Again, it's Romans 8, 29 through 31. Lord, speak that your servant is listening. For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. And those whom he predestined, he also called. And those whom he called, he also justified. And those whom he justified, he also glorified. What then shall we say to this? If God is for us, who is against us? Word of the Lord, thanks be to God. So now let's go ahead and take a few moments and take a moment to close your eyes if you can. If you're not driving, close your eyes and meditate on this verse and allow the Lord to speak into your heart. And what is he trying to tell you? Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to share first a little bit of what this verse means. So this is Paul is who described this as a divine process where God he knew in advance he knew our purpose, and then he also has called us, and so the Lord has also promised eternal glory to us, and this is what the verse means, but also that that the goal of this process is for believers to be conformed to the image of his Son, meaning that believers are transformed to become like Jesus, who is the firstborn among all the brethren. And so what it tells me personally is, and that other piece, going back a little bit, is, when then shall we say to this, if God is for us, who is against us? So what God told me is that he chose me, he loves me, and he's called me for something, right? So that's for us to figure out what is God calling me to do. And he's called me to do many things, within my job, at work. He calls me to be his servant, by helping others, that I encounter, anybody that I encounter at work. Or even like today, I was driving and there was someone that was trying to get into into like the lane, and nobody was letting that person in. And I said, "Well, you know what, let this person in," right? So just doing those things and I felt so good after, because I know that something as small as that, that God placed it in my heart, like let her in, that because nobody was letting her in. So um, that made that person's life better in that moment. So he calls us to do things, even in the smallest things. He calls us to be, in the image of him. What would he do in that moment? So, and also for me, what it told me in my heart is that, if God is for us, who can be against us? So sometimes, I'm afraid. Well, I'm not afraid, but sometimes I don't talk about God maybe as I should. But, what am I afraid when to talk about him and share, the gospel, and share who he is, and who he is transforming me to be. So that's how I felt it, is that, when you have God in your life, we can walk with that confidence, knowing that, God, how he has all the power, he has all the strength, and through him, we can do anything. So that's what it reminded me, is that, I shouldn't be afraid, and know that, God is with me in every moment, but also that I need to serve, just like he would, because the goal is that, we become more like him day by day. So I don't know if anybody else wants to share.
Yes, I'll share. So for me, it's like a journey to get to be like Christ. And in that journey, sometimes it's really hard. We could start feeling like the whole world is against us. And that's why the importance of the last phrase is so important, because who could be against us if we're with Christ? So imagine if the world, like, this is how it spoke to me. I started thinking, imagine if the world, every single human being living here on earth would want to become like Christ. How much better would the world be? How much more love there would be in the world? How much more wanting to help each other would there be in the world? Just like Yoli said, the small gesture that she did, she probably made that person's day. So it's like the little things that we could do. Imagine that, like for us to be able to just start doing that, and then it could become like contagious, right? Like pass it forward. Maybe that person that you only did that for is going to say, oh, you know what? Let me let this person in. If it starts becoming like a chain reaction. And sometimes I could say for me, following Christ could become or feel like a little lonely, because you start seeing in the process that you start losing people, because um, they no longer feel like they want to do other things that you no longer want to do. And that's where you start feeling like, oh wow, but you know what, like God puts in your life people that are godlike people, and they're going to respect you, and they're going to um, let you be who you are, without judging you and supporting you. And God is always going to be with us. And if, like it says, if he's with us, who could be against us? Who could be against us? So I just want to invite people, if whoever's listening, to go ahead and read the scripture again. And just every single day, if you can do a good deed this week, just a good deed for someone, um, do it, and just see how your day will be. It makes our day even feel like we feel better. So I invite you to do that. And maybe share in the comments if you did, and what it is that you did and how did you feel. Redeem, we would love to hear back from you and letting us know. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you so much.
Thank you.